I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. I've got the joy. Hi, Pathfinders. Now I can't see them. You need to reconnect the projector. I'd like to see the Pathfinders because I want to hear them. I want to see them. Are we live stream? Hi, Pathfinders. Always good to see your faces, and it's always to see you respond. We will be doing the song, I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Yeah. I want to see you. If you see me looking to the side, just know I'm trying to look at you. I want to see if you are here. Just wave your hands if you're here. I know that you can hear me. I know that you can hear me. Lovely. Are you joyful in your heart? You have joy in your heart? Yes, 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 lovely. So I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. And I'm so happy. I want us to do that song together. I hope this time the audio will be much better. I hope the audio will be much better. All right, KB, can you move that speaker closer to the... I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart. Down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart. To stay. And I'm so happy. So very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. Oh, I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 down in my heart. Down in my heart, I've got the joy, 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 Yes, ma'am. I think I'm done for now.
Oh, I can just stand here. Hello? 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 I want to see Pathfinder. Am I audible? Am I audible? Pathfinders, am I audible? If you hear me, please wave. If you hear me, please wave. You can't hear me. Am I audible? Is the volume audio on? If you okay, Preston, if you hear me, please wave. My children cannot hear me. Are you able to hear me now? If you hear me, please wave. Hello? Hello, Paul? Are you able to hear me? If you hear me, wave. Oh, yes, Itimeleng did the yes. How many of you are happy? If you are happy, please raise your hand. Are you happy? Are you happy? Yes or no? Are you happy? Are you happy? I see Preston is trying to do all the other things, trying to wave and say yes and say no at the same time. Preston, are you happy? Yes? Yes, this is how we do the yes. All right, welcome back, Pathfinders. Can we allow who wants to pray for us? Oh, Itimelen's hand is up already. Itimelen Musitwani, please unmute her. Itimelen, unmute yourself and pray for us.
Let us pray. Thank Jesus for this wonderful day. We want to thank you for this wonderful camp that you have given us. And Lord, we pray that you may be with us and protect us from COVID-19. And pray that, Lord, you may bless us in Jesus' name. Pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Itu. Thank you so much. We are now going to go into African law. African law. Law as in L-O-R-E. Okay? You remember my name is Mrs. Law? We're not going to talk about me, okay? But we're going to talk about African law. Masisini is going to talk to us about that. So we will hear more about it in a short while. We will understand what African law is all about. All right? Masisini is going to be talking about African law. My children know my name. Yes. You saw there is written some name and then there is law at the end. All right? Yes. We will hear. Masisini is seated right behind me. When I move, the person you're going to be seeing is Masisini. All right? Are we ready, tag team, to go on? We're good. We're good. Masisini?
All right, thank you. Yes. We go. Hi, Pathfinders. How are you, Pathfinders? How are you today? Yes. We give me the cojones.
No, the video. Yeah, even the video.
Yeah, we are getting acclimatized to the use of technology, and we are happy to be together this morning on this beautiful presentation that we are going to make. Can I see those who are wearing African attire like myself? If I could stand for a minute, I'm just going to stand a bit so that you see how beautiful I look in my cultural dress. This is a cultural dress that I'm wearing. Yes. If you could see the tail of my dress. Let's show a bit of it. Yes. This is just to say today we are proud Africans. And so thank you so much, because we are going to have fun around our culture today. We are going to be celebrating our being Africans today. So I specifically said that today we should be wearing our African attires because we are beautiful, handsome, and we look dynamic in our culture. I can see Popolang is wearing something very beautiful there. So thank you so much. You look so beautiful. I can see also who also is wearing their cultural dress. There's Gabet somewhere there. Yes, there is Jessica there. She's looking like Emma Koti. Very beautiful. Yes. Who else? Chandole too is also wearing something very beautiful. And we have Kabeti there. I saw Kabeti. You're looking very good. Kididinet is also looking so beautiful. And we are so proud to be Africans. Aro, Nama, Todi, you know, these young people look so beautiful. They look like adults in the future. They are celebrating with us today. So we are going to go into this honor where we are here. It is called African law. African, L-O-R-E, a way of celebrating our heritage. So I'm going to go directly into our presentation as I try to share my slide. Yeah. Just bear with us a bit. We are trying to pick it so that we can go directly into it. In your camp meeting material, the camp meeting handbook, we are going to be looking at page 27. So get it ready and put it in front of you. Get your pen, put it in front of you, because you are also going to be participating.
You want them to type at some point, you will let us know.
Yeah, good. So who knew that one day adults like myself would be doing such a beautiful work on technology? Yeah, it is such an amazing moment. And I guess we've had a very beautiful 3 days now where we've been interacting on different subjects. One thing that we love about Pathfinders is that we continue to honor people for the work that they do. And one of our favorite moments in Pathfinders is when we gain one or more honors as a way of gaining skills that continue to help us in our mission work as young people. So this is basically what we are here about today. So we are here at the South Botswana Pathfinder Camp 2021, and I love the theme. It's saying, send me. And we are getting ready through this very honor, which honors our heritage, which recognizes our African heritage as a way of saying, we are proud to be Africans, we are proud and ready to work for the Africans. So you can see that as Pathfinders, we are looking at this honor which comes in a shield, in a knobkerrie, in a stick. You cannot identify an African without looking at a shield, because Pathfinders are so active in the battlefield, and therefore we have to identify ourselves in this manner. So at the end of the camp meeting, when you have done all the exercises in your workbook, you are going to submit to your leader, who's going to then qualify you for this particular honor that we are presenting before you. And when you have passed everything, you are going to get that patch that looks so beautiful in front of you as a young warrior. So why are we talking about, what is the purpose of this honor? We are saying that as young people and as Africans, we want to take an opportunity to celebrate ourselves as inhabitants of Africa. We want to understand the dynamic knowledge, the culture and traditions that are passed on from generation to generation by Africans. We want to understand the creation story of the world as told through the eyes of the African. And then we are here to prepare Pathfinders to minister to a dynamic people of the African continent. So we have this opportunity to go through this honor with the purpose to understand what we are all about as Africans, to celebrate who we are as Africans. Let me just pause a bit and ask you questions. And I expect that you'll be typing there what it is that you think we have as a question. You're going to type your answers out there. My first question to you is, how many countries do we have in Africa? How many countries do we have in Africa? I'm waiting for your answer because we need to know Africa. We are Africans. We are celebrating Africa. I have 57, 54, 53, 52, 52 years, 52, 54 years. We have bright ones. These ones, they do social studies. Ma'am, no, 5 is just too low. Before you even count the countries in SADC, yes, we have about 54 countries in Africa, and we are, you are right on that one. Now I want to see how many of us in this group don't come from Botswana. Those who come from outside Botswana, can you raise your hands? Those who come from outside Botswana.
Nelson.
Okay, Nelson. Who else is not Botswana? Are we only saying there's only Nelson here? Palalalo Sebuka is also not Botswana. Okay, we have Rudo. Yes, there's a number of us there. There's a number of you there who are not Botswana, isn't it? So we are basically saying that we are a dynamic people in a dynamic continent, as much as we have in Botswana, dynamic people, dynamic cultures within the corners of this very country. Now we want to go back to Africa, our beautiful Africa. True, we have around 54 countries in Africa, and then the total population of Africa, we are told, is around 1.341 billion, as at the end of last year, 2020. So you can see that we are talking about a very big continent that has so many people. You can see the map of Africa that we have there. It has so many flags, so many colorful flags, representing the colorful people that we find in Africa. And then we go to the next one. When you look at the other issue that we have in Africa, we have a number of ethnic groups and a number of languages that we have in Africa. We have over 3,000 ethnic groups in Africa. You can imagine in Botswana alone, we have a number, but in Africa, in the whole of Africa, we have over 3,000 ethnic groups. And then we have close to 2,100 language dialects. 2,100 dialects, different languages that we have in Africa alone. So it shows us that we are indeed a very dynamic, a very beautiful, and a worthy to study continent because of the experience that we have and the number of ethnic groups that we have in there. And these ethnic groups are distributed over those 54 countries that we said we come from. So we can see how Africa is dynamic, and I would definitely say that Africa is indeed a special continent. So we move to the next slide. Africans have a way of getting settled, or a way of living. They are centered around families that live together or that live closer together. And then these families constitute clans, which then constitute the different tribes that we find in the different areas around the world. Just to give you an example, if you are to go into Botswana, you'd have the Bangwatu in the central region, and then these Bangwatu are made up of different families, which normally clutter together within their different quota setups. So this is what we are trying to say. Generally, as Africans, they pursue that way of living and that way of staying. So the defined order, there's also a defined order in who stays next to who, usually influenced by who people are within their societies, within their communities. The central point would be where the monarchy is, or where the chief stays. That would be a central place. And then next to them would be those within the royal family. And then as they extend, the families know how they are ordered in their life within the hierarchy of that society. So each tribe has their set of beliefs, they have their set of practices, they have formal and informal ways of communicating amongst themselves as communities. And I'm talking this in the general context of all African countries. And then they have central social and economic activities. They have a way in which they relate to each other. They also have their special way of how they bring food to their table. Therefore, reaching them, because that is our main goal as youngsters. This is why we are studying this. Reaching these different people requires us to understand the depth of who these different tribes are, what they believe in, and how they behave, the cultures and the traditions that they pursue as a tribe. Now, why this honor? Why this honor? What are we going to learn in this honor? the honor that we have, the African law honor, is meant for us to learn about other tribes, to know them in detail, to build acceptance of others. Because we can see that we have over 3,000 tribes in Africa. It means that each and every tribe is very special in its own way. And therefore, it helps us to build acceptance of other people, to build tolerance for other people. What it's saying to us is that none of us is better than another. And therefore, we have to learn to embrace all the people in their dynamic cultures, in their dynamic traditions, in their dynamic practices. It is also meant to prepare us to interact with others as we continue our Great Commission given in Matthew chapter 28. We can never forget that as young people, we have an objective where we have to go on God's errands. And therefore, if we have to go on God's errands, then we need to know the communities that we are to interact with. And this is why this honor becomes so interesting and becomes very valuable for us as young people. Psalm 24 verse 1 says, "Remember that the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell in it are the Lord's." So all of us belong to the Lord. In chapter 139 verse 14, it also says, "I will praise the Lord, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." So each one of us, irrespective of our cultural dynamics, need to see themselves as very valuable, as somebody who is very special, because God created us so, and He created us dynamic for a purpose. And therefore, as we end today, we will note that we have a duty then as African young people and as Adventist young people, as young people within the community, to know that we are custodians of our heritage, and we are custodians of the heritage of other people as we protect it going forward. Now, I want us to go into another task. As we go into the African law. I want you to state at least 10 tribes that you know in Africa, and state where they are found. Just give us one. Others are going to be adding to that one. But I want you to state 10 tribes that are found in Africa, and state where they are found in Africa. We have Batawana, we have Bangato, we have the Zulus, the Kata, we have Bangwena who are in Botswana. Yes, I'm moving too fast. Sorry, I'll try to slow down. We have the Basovia. Yes, we have a bright class here. We have the Bakalaka, Bapedi, Herero in Namibia, Marmorolong, the Hutus. Yes, we have the Tonga, Bayei, we have Basara, the Xhosa, we have Amandebele, yes, we have the Shonas, the Xhosas, the Bakurusi, the Bangatu are there, Babira are there, we have the Balozi, Mangwaketi are there, Mangwaketi, yes, we have the Ndrandes. You know, these kids, they study social studies, and they are doing so well in history. And this is what makes this study very interesting, because certainly we have been learning about the different tribes in our schools. And there is a reason why we continue to study this. But having the Nguni, the Zulus, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You are a good class. I'll try to slow down because I'm told I'm a bit too fast. Keep reminding me to slow down if I need to do that. That is wonderful. So in that list of tribes that you've been mentioning, you have also gone further to show those tribes that are specifically found in Botswana. You have specifically noted those tribes that are found in Botswana. We have tribes found in Kenya. We have the Kikuyus in Kenya. We have the Maasai in Tanzania, Kenya. We have the Ibu in Nigeria, Benin. We have a whole spread of different tribes that we find across this colorful continent. And we have a duty to have an appreciation and an understanding of these different tribes, because then we will know what they believe, what they practice, and how they live their lives, so that we are able to understand them well as young people. So in your workbooks on page 27, you are going to complete that section by putting in the number of tribes, at least 10 of them. When you have done that, you would have gotten a good mark for that portion of the honor. All right. So we move on to the next slide. Because you are a bright class, that is why sometimes I'm tempted to move at a higher speed, but I'll slow down. So now the next task, for us to qualify further for this honor, we need to select an African tribe. So each one of you is going to select an African tribe, which you are going to study. And in that study, you are going to find out detailed information about the listed number of items. You are going to find their eating habits, how they do their initiation celebrations. There is one which talks about witch doctors. I have put in there a traditional medicine. That is supposed to be traditional medicine. Because when we are talking witch doctors in the Adventism, we become a bit scared that probably we want to initiate people into witchcraft. But the reason why we have to understand this subject is to understand how these communities undertake their medical field, if I would say so, as a community. And then you are going to identify how they live and how they worship. Then you will talk about education, what value education plays in that tribe. Then you will talk about burials and funerals, how they conduct themselves around death. When somebody has died, what is it that they do as a community or as a tribe? And then transactions, how they carry out that transaction, that is how they view money and how they use money as an avenue for exchange of services. And then we talk about the dress code. As you've already seen that I am literally wearing something that is significant to my tribe, my culture. And then industry, how they do business or how they continue to generate income for continuity of their society or their community. Now, are we together on your assignment? Did you get your assignment correctly? We have some hands. Okay. Yes. If you have questions, just please type them so that we can follow. Okay, I'll try to slow down. I'll continue to try to slow down. All right. That is what will help you qualify. That is what will help you qualify for this honor. So you are going to select an African tribe for study. And that tribe should not be your own tribe. It is advisable that it's not your own tribe because we want to learn to learn about others. And then as you study that, you are going to follow those number of listed items so that you can be able to achieve them. Are we together now? In the first assignment, let me just go back to it. The first assignment is to state at least 10 tribes that you know in Africa, and you are going to state where they are. So if you are talking about the Zulus, where do we find the Zulus? The Zulu tribe is where? It is found in South Africa, isn't it? If you were to talk about the Ndebeles, where will we find them? How slow should I go?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Well, in the university,
Do they have the books?
yeah, they all will register.
Good. Okay, let me just say this for those who are saying I'm too slow. We have the study book. We have the book that we have been given, the handbook that we have been given. I said, let us go to page 20, 28, 29. We are on page 27, 28, and 29 for this particular honor. So thank you so much for responding to where the Ndebeles are found. Now let us move forward. We have our book. So your first assignment in your worksheet is on page 27. So you are going to fill in that bit on page 27. Are we together? And then we go to the next task. The next task is for you to select one African tribe, just one, which you are going to follow up and be able to explain their eating habits, their initiation celebrations, their living and worship, their education, up to industry. So you are going to fill in all those, you are going to prepare that information just to show that you have done your homework about that particular tribe. Now, for the purpose of my demonstration, I have chosen to share about the Basubia tribe. The Basubia are one of the tribes that we find here in Botswana. I have heard a lot of people in the past make jokes that this person came Basubia, thinking that they are passing a derogatory statement or something to try and make somebody feel bad. But indeed, there is a tribe that is known as Basubia, which is found in the northwest of this country, along the Zambezi, Linyanti, and Chobe River Plate. So they are sitting between those three major rivers. So I guess by just listening at that, you can already figure out the activities that they will be carrying out as a community or as a tribe. They are found in Botswana. Some of them are found in Namibia. Some of them are sitting in Zambia, and others are said to be sitting in some parts of the DRC where we are said to have originated. So this is a tribe that is found up in the Chobe region. If you have the map of Botswana, you'd be looking at the Kasane area, the Ngoma border, and then the other border that we successfully use is the Kazungula the Kazungula border. So this is where you will find these people. Those of you who have gone on a number of school trips have gone to Kasani, and that is where you will find the Basubia along that plain. They are known as the people of Itenge. They are named around their monarchy, the chieftaincy. So they are called the people of Itenge because they call their chief Munitenge. So that is an honor that is given to their chief. The region where they stay is largely reserved for tourism. So when you go to that region, expect to find elephants, expect to find giraffes, expect to find lions. The big five is found within the Chobe region, and that is where the Basubia find their habitation. And then they also do farming along the river plains. Most of the farming in that area is done along the river plains because there isn't much land that is reserved for plowing within the region. That is the reality that we find in that area. And then they also rear animals. They rear cattle, they rear goats, but not such in large quantities as we have seen in other areas. So how do they settle these people? They settle by families and clan, as identified per family name. So we would say, in Setswana would say, so when we get there, you'd say, we are going Ubasimwine, we are going to the Samunzala's homestead. Tukaya Kubena Samunzala. So this is basically how we identify people, and it will be very easy when you go into one of the villages and you name the family name to be directed there without much hassle. The original structures or the original houses were built with reeds and thatched with grass. So those were the original structures that were built or that a lot of people grew up in. And in this setup, children are a very critical part of a family because it is said that each family must have children for continuity of the legacy of the family. And I believe that this is also very true for most African families. And particularly most African families, like most African families, there is centrality in saying that a boy child is of much greater value. Probably because as life goes, a girl child would be married off to another clan, but the boy child will always gather those that they get married to into the family. This tribe believes in what they call Ireza, as Mudimu, or as God. So when you get into that community, they have a broader picture that there is God, whom they call Ireza, whom in Setswana we call Mudimu. They also have specific beliefs in Vazimu, as Badimo, or ancestral God, which they use for various purposes, for rain, for production, and for protection. Protection as it comes naturally, that there is a being that should protect us as individuals. So the Basubia also believe that they have this Badimu for different activities. When you go into most of their tribal activities, you will find that there are rituals that will be carried in honor of different ceremonies or in honor of different occasions. as a way of observing their traditions. Now, why are we talking about this? As we evangelize these people, this background is very important because all the effort that we will be carrying in introducing God will then need to work around what they already believe as a community or as a tribe. Are we together so far? We are together? Yes. Now we look at the other aspect. We look at the other aspect, which is education, money, and industry. I try to bring them together just so that you appreciate what it is that these different people believe in. In terms of education, it is believed that education starts at home, where your parents play a key role in imparting the key values that make a person a good man or a good woman in their future. So the best lessons will then be learned from the parents at home. The uncles and the aunts and the cousins also play an important role to impart specific knowledge on good values, particularly around issues of sexuality. That is where I have seen the aunts and the uncles now taking over from the parents. You'll find that in most of the parts of Africa, parents do not openly communicate certain subjects with their children, particularly on issues of growth and on issues of sexuality. And this is where the aunts would then come in to impart that knowledge that prepares one as they grow in that area. When one is growing up or transitioning from childhood into adulthood, which is usually characterized by one starting, if it's a girl, when they start to have their little breasts, they start to have their monthly period. It characterizes that you are graduating from a child to an adult. So when you transition from that stage, a young girl will be taken and given over to one elder within the community. And these people are going to teach them how to behave as a woman, how they should take care of themselves, prepare them even for marriage, because marriage is considered of value within the African context. And it is of value within the Basubia tribe as well. So you'll be taken there. If you are in school, you will literally have to be put indoors for some time until all the lessons have been imparted to you, and then the message so you'll be carried through that season by the elderlies until you are given all the information that needs to be imparted to you in preparation for your adulthood. Young men will also be handed over to some elder men, but it is not so prominent around the young men, but they will do that. Just to pause on this one, I know that in some cultures, in some tribes like the Bakata, literally young ladies would be taken to what they call Bojale, and the young men would be taken to Bukwera, and they are carried through all those lessons that prepare them to become responsible society men and women. So this is what we would do in the Basubia. A young lady would literally be taken, put indoors for some time, and then she'll be taken for some cleansing ceremony at the end of her period, and then some traditional dance, and then she then is brought back into the community as an elder, as now considered as an adult. And in that respect, she is taught that sexual activity would mean that would need to be deprived or else pregnancy would befall that person. They encourage by all means that young people or children should maintain their youthfulness until they are married or handed over to a husband. In the Basubia tribe, a child is built for the community. Hence, any adult can build and rebuke a child. So it is not a place where you can do anything that you please within the community and an adult will pass by without rebuking you. So we come from that background where a child is built for the community and is built by the community. When we go to industry or when we go to money, transactions were mainly done in the original through bartering system, where exchange of goods was prime. However, nowadays, money, of course, plays a very important role in the exchange of goods and services within our community. And therefore, for you to be able to buy, nowadays we use the currency, which is the pula or the tethers that we have as a nation. But we still have those people who can still take something and exchange it for another thing as a way of buying and selling. So formal education nowadays has become a norm because we have schools nowadays. It means that each and every family values taking their children for schools. So now you can find that even the language, even the command of language in English, in Setswana, is much more sharper than it was back in the days. So these people, they are hunters. They plow, they fish. Like I said at the beginning, we come from a place which is actually centered around the rivers. And these are major rivers, the Linyandi, the Chobe River, and the Zambezi River. A lot of fishing takes place here. And therefore, these aspects of that place bear a lot in the economy of that place. And then the place is also full of wild animals, as we said. And therefore, hunting had been a very critical aspect of that place. But we note nowadays that there is a lot of protection of the wild animals, and therefore they can only be hunted per the seasons that are open for and per the rationing that government would usually open for the nationals, making it one of the economic aspects that keep that society. They keep animals because the wealth of any man and the wealth of any family is viewed from a perspective of how much animals they keep. And those who do not have are given something by those who have in the form of what we call mafisa. I believe that we have been learning in social studies that where a man was poor, another family would in kind give them something so that they can also go and feed their family members. So this spirit still prevails amongst the Basubia. The other issue is the burial and traditional rituals or medicine. The burials. When a person dies in a family, family members actually gather together. And this is very common in the African continent. This is also very common, particularly in Botswana, where we keep our dead for a number of days. So families would gather together for the number of days that you are sitting together to come and comfort the family that is bereaved. And then mourning is considered as an aspect. In Chobe, back in the days, people used to cry. If people didn't cry at your funeral or when you were bereaved, it probably meant that they could have been happy about your demise. but people used to cry. So in other cultures, we have what we call key mourners. Those who are like hired to come and make sure that crying is realized in that funeral. I hear that in some tribes in South Africa, some tribes in East Africa, chief mourners are hired, or a choir of mourners is hired, where they come and make sure that mourning is shown for the dead. So we mourn our dead in that respect. And then the dead are buried. Nowadays, in this contemporary, we use the caskets, we use the coffins of modern days. But in the past days, they just used to wrap a person in a cow, in the cow skin, so that then the person would be laid to rest. In the olden days, people died in the morning by sunset, or the next day they were buried. Unlike in the nowadays, where we have to have people gathering for some days. And I think I just need to pause here to say that this is a moment, or this then creates an opportunity for us as we learn these traditions of how they conduct funerals and how they conduct their burial sessions, that at given times, we can then, as Pathfinders, as Adventists, as society, come in and share a word of encouragement, because this gathering is all about crying together, showing that we care about each other, and then moving forward together as a community. The other aspect is that most families ascribe to a given traditional healer, whether found locally, if they are within the vicinity, or internationally, where they have to follow them outside the country. Africans believe in personal protection of property, of protection from harm from other people. So living in such a context, the families believe that they need to be protected from their enemies. Their properties need to be protected from thieves, for example, and therefore the centrality of the African person, the original African person, is centered around the witch doctor. This is why we are talking the centrality of the witch doctor. But of course, as Adventists, we know whom we have believed in. We know that our greatest protection is in Christ Jesus, whom we know sends his angels for us to guard us if we call on him. But as we go into these communities, these dynamics need to be understood so that we do not receive shock, so that we then know what it is that we are working against, to educate them on what we believe is right. They use various medicinal plants. They use various medicinal plants, which they use for different rites. They use them when a child is born. There are plants that they will use especially for the healing of that person. When somebody graduates as a young lady, as I was talking earlier, they would also be given some medications for that purpose. When others get married, they will practice whatever needs to be done in a way of protecting them. And at childbirth, somebody will also be carried through this very experience. So traditional medicine plays a very central role in these communities. But like I am saying, it is very important for us to understand this, because when you go into a community, this is part of what they believe and they are passionate about. But as we go to minister to them, then we know what it is that we need to bring forth, without necessarily undermining what they believe, but inculcating what we believe to be right in them. Then there is traditional celebration. This dress that I am wearing, it's a celebration dress. It is worn for important celebrations. It is one we celebrate when we go to weddings, we dance. That dress has a tail. You throw that tail as a way of like a peacock, for those who know, as a way of showing that you are happy. When there is installation of a chip or there is any function within the community that needs to be celebrated, this traditional attire would be worn as a way of showing that you are part of that community, and then you are also proud about who you are as a community member. However, there are different dresses, of course, that are worn for different occasions. If it is a funeral, somebody's husband has died, there is a way that that person is going to dress. And usually you will see them dressed in black in my tribe. In other tribes, some will be wearing blue. Now they have continued to diversify color. But what we are basically saying is dress code has a significance for celebration, and it has a significance for healing stations. It has a significance in the various aspects of this particular community. And then Africans are not Africans without stories. Most of the tribes have specific stories which they tell, which bring them together. And most of the time, these stories are told during, in the evening. For those who grew up in the rural villages, we would gather together with our grandparents. Grandparents were so good at telling stories. And then we will each one have an opportunity to listen to their stories. So most of the stories that are told in Africa center around the animal kingdom. And these are some of the stories that you also find in my tribe. They center around the animal kingdom. They center around the experiences of these people as hunters and gatherers. Some of these stories are very true stories. Some of them are exaggerated stories with moral meaning to be able to bring moral messages to the young people. So one of my favorite stories that I was told when I was young, which I still love to this day, that I'm going to share with you, because you're going to have, beyond this lesson, you are going to have to prepare a story that you are going to share with your club members as part of the qualifications for this honor. So Africans tell their stories in folk stories. So it's a way in which they interact and share messages amongst themselves as a way for entertainment, as a way of learning, and as a way of imparting knowledge to the younger generation and the right values to the younger generation. So a story is told that there was a man who had a good number of sheep, and these sheep were so fat. One day, the hyena came into the crop to steal some of the sheep. So day one, he came, he ate one, and he managed to leave through the little space that was there within the crop. Another time he comes back, he eats, he was not found, he goes back, he managed to escape again, having made his kill. And on this particular fateful day, he came back. This time around, he ate more than enough. Initially, he would go and size himself to check out if he would go out through the little space that was provided. But on this fateful day, this hyena forgot to resize himself. So out of greed, he ate more than enough. So we are told his tummy was so big, and at a time when he tried to leave the kraal, he could not pass out. So he failed to leave the kraal. And as he failed, sunrise came and he was found in that kraal. And the owners of the kraal finally caught him and did the best with him. So as a story, it has a moral meaning. If you were listening to that story, it has a moral meaning. What do you think is the moral of this story? What do you think is the moral of this story? Your hands are raised, you're going to type there. What do you think is the moral of this greedy animal? Do not eat a lot, never steal. Greed is bad. Hey, do not be greedy, hey? Okay, take what you need in life and leave the rest. Okay? Yes, smoke is dead. Do not steal, do not be greedy. Yes. So these stories, they may have come in the form of this animal, yet it has a moral meaning to our lives. So as we move on as adults, we would have learned something just out of that story that appeared to be funny, that appeared to be unreal. Yet a message has been, do not eat with your eyes, hey? Do not be greedy. I love all those answers. You are such a brilliant and very attentive class. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Don't eat too much. So there is a meaning in these folk stories, and Africans take pride in these beautiful, beautiful stories. Now, this is what you are going to do. This is what you are going to do in your workbook. That is on number 4. That is from the last page in your workbook. You are going to make a collection of 15 objects. 15 objects that are manufactured by Africans, and show them to your director. When you go into your house, in the house, Mommy and Daddy's house there are quite a number of objects, I should think, that are manufactured by Africans. Some of them may come in the form of pottery. Some of them may come in the form of artwork, basketry. Some of them may be crafts, carvings, weavings, for example. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick those 15 items, 15 objects, and then you're going to show them to your director, just to show that you appreciate what it is that Africans manufacture. So as you do that and show that to your director, they are then going to mark for you that indeed you understood what it is that you have. If you cannot get them in the house, at least you can find them in pictures. So you can also collect them in pictures and then share them with your director. Because now some of us are in Gaborone where we may not find some of them. So in my tribe, we would be talking about things like mekoro, which are boats, selei, which are sledges, which the farmers used to pull as transport for us. You'd find horse, which they used to use. You would find axes. You'd find the totwana or basketry, which was of different types. Mats of different types also. So these are some of the examples that I just wanted to give you so that you have an appreciation of the beautiful artifacts that Africans take pride in and that they have been making. So in closing, it is indeed true that understanding Africa and the dynamic tribes that we find in Africa is of great interest to us, isn't it? Can I see those who take pride in the dynamic beauty that is found in Africa? Just raise your hand a bit. Yes. Yes. So understanding Africa and the different tribes in Africa, understanding what they believe, understanding the knowledge base for different Africans, the cultural values and the practices gives us pride, and it helps us then to be able to protect this valuable knowledge, this valuable information that is of importance to us, to our identity as a continent. And then it also helps us above everything to be able to choose what is good for us, and to address those things and do away with those things that we consider unproductive for us. It also helps us above everything to understand and appreciate the behaviors that are exerted by different Africans. So I take it that we have learned something valuable in understanding this dynamic beauty of us being Africans. May the name of the Lord be glorified for this beautiful message. Can I see those who enjoyed the session? Raise your hands, clap hands, clap hands, clap hands. Yes. Are we entertaining questions, comments, or we are just going straight to work on that beautiful book that we have in front of us? 5 minutes? Okay. We have 5 minutes for questions and for answers. Do we have any questions, or you have something to say in appreciation of your being African? You can type it out there. If you have anything, yes. Somebody saying, where are the Barolongs found? I think that is going to be a homework for somebody who's going to list out the number of tribes so that they will know where the Barolong are. But the last time I checked, they were found somewhere around Good Hope, Ramatlabama, the Barolong farms. What were we supposed to do in question 3? Which is question 3? In question 3, we are supposed to tell a story, a folk story with a moral. So you're going to tell a story, like I told a story about that naughty hyena. And then you're also going to say the moral of this story. Now, how do we make pottery? How do we make pottery? Yes, I think the mummies and the daddies are going to help us answer that one. But potteries are made from clay, I think. Yes, pottery is made from clay using the different surfaces that they use. So definitely, I would also encourage that because we have access to those cell phones that mommy and daddy have borrowed us or have given us, we can then be Googling some of those just to check out how you make pottery. Can we take pictures from Google? Yes. Like I said, where we cannot find the artifacts, that is for the last bit on page, on the last bit, for question 4, hey? So for question 4, you make a collection of at least 15 objects which are manufactured by African tribes. So because we may not find all of them in Botswana, we have the liberty to choose any tribe anywhere in Africa, and then you can then take pictures from Google and show them to your director. Thank you, Temo, to be a proud African who is not ashamed of their culture. What you can also add to that is that as I am proud about my culture, I also have to respect another person's culture so that we show tolerance for one another as Africans. What am I missing? I was talking about the tribe that I was talking about is the Basubia tribe. Basubia tribe. Basubia. That is found in the Chobe region. In the handbook, can we write the origins of different tribes? Definitely. That is what is expected. You say, this one is Zulu. They are found in such and such a place. Can somebody help me answer where Bakwena are found? Where are Bakwena found? Yes. We went further. Do we write the objects made in Botswana? No, not necessarily in Botswana. Do we write in English or in Setswana? I want to believe that our facilitators do have an appreciation of both Setswana and in English. If you have a word for it in English and in Setswana, just to show an extra bit of knowledge, you are allowed to do that. Yes. So I am going to encourage you, because now you are asking me questions that should actually be your homework. So now I'm going to draw it down to say, you are going to choose that tribe, you're going to write down 10 tribes on page 27, but you're just going to focus on one, which you are going to be elaborating on to the end. And don't forget to tell your story, your folklore story, and its moral. Then you close with your artifact, which you are allowed to pick even from your Googling. Thank you so much. Thank you, directors. Thank you, my facilitators. God bless you. I'm done. All right. Just sit there.
Lord, you know everything I've done, every thought I've had. You know everyone, and Lord, you know for coming to my rescue. You come to my rescue. You come to my rescue. To my rescue. To my rescue. Just to tell you how I feel. It's hard to tell you just how grateful I am. But I'm still gonna make it show. With every breath, gonna let you know. I am accepting, though I can't comprehend how I could be wrong without a found the sign of love. I give all I can give. Oh my all. Long as I should live. So Lord, oh Lord, I just wanna thank you for coming to my rescue. You come to my rescue. Always, He's always there for me. He's right there. Lord, I know I don't deserve, but you love me anyhow. Come to my rescue. Keep on coming to my rescue. You come to my rescue. Keep on coming to my rescue. You come to my rescue. Keep on coming to my rescue. Oh, Jesus. Up on the Isle of Patmos, one man was cast one day. As he was left alone to die, he began to pray. The Holy Ghost fell on him, the Spirit he came down. He began to write about the things he saw. The Revelator's name was John. John the Revelator, he saw Jerusalem coming down. John the Revelator, and when he looked around, he saw Jesus Jesu ndiye mambo, Tichano karanae, Kutenga kwa kanaga, Hakuna matambuto, Jesu ndiye mambo, Tichano karanae,